heavy bag is probably, the basic foundation to any boxing workout and definitely to any boxing gym. One of the more basic things, you're gonna find it in every gym, even martial arts gyms and everything. And it basically gives you a hard workout. The harder you work it, the more workout you get. You wanna look at it like an opponent. You wanna imagine you're a person being in front of it. Sometimes you see people on a heavy bag just, for a little arm workout or something, I can do that. But I wanna imagine, I wanna make it more fun for myself. I wanna imagine this is somebody trying to throw punches at me, come at me, move away. I wanna use some punches to set it up. I wanna use some punches to knock it out. And the heavy bag is that opponent. The harder you go to it, the more it comes back at you, It doesn't hit back, so you also have to put your defense and imagine it into your head. It's not like sparring. You see a lot of people that just, all they do is hit a heavy bag, and they're not really bringing their hands back to their chin because there's nobody there to hit them, which is fine for a workout, but might as well do it right and get the most out of it. Some people come to the gym, they just do basic rounds on a heavy bag. Bell rings, I go to work, I'm moving around the bag, I'm throwing combinations, I'm popping a jab. There's also different kinds of drills we can do. Your coach or your trainer can set up certain combinations, certain scenarios. You can repeat combinations that might be a little tough for you that you want to master. You can have more than one person working on it. I could have somebody opposite me and some people here. If you have a gym with not a lot of space, I want to remember to move my head. I want to remember to move my feet. I want to change my distance. If I'm trying to be a real fighter or if I'm going to spar, I don't want to just hang out in this range, because if I'm in the range where I can hit the bag, my opponent's in the range where they can hit me. So I want to get used to approaching from the outside. I'm pretty safe out here. I come in and come out. Now I'm taking into consideration my defense. All right. Some of the bad habits you see on a heavy bag are obviously, the punches coming from your chest or your hips, not your chin. Another bad habit I see is people generally punch pretty low on the heavy bag just because it's easier, or you're almost kind of punching down. If you look at where my chin is, because I'm punching down, I'm pretty exposed. So generally you want to punch straight off of your chin, and I like imagining my opponent is the same height as me. So basically I'm punching the head of where my head would be. All right. If I need to go to a body shot, then I'm going to distinguish the difference between the head and the body. Okay. Another bad habit you see are people that stand square on the bag. Okay. It's hard to generate full power here. I can actually knock myself out of position because I don't have my basic stance going. So the rule of thumb I use is I want to keep my front foot pointed directly at the bag, and my front foot's going to be between my back foot and the bag. From here, I have more leverage. I'm lined up properly for throwing correct punches, and I get more power off and hold a better position on the bag. Now, if you're not used to punching, and it's kind of something new, be careful when you hit the bag. You can hurt your hands if you want to make sure your hands are wrapped or taped properly. You want to make sure you know how to throw proper punches. You see a lot of beginners in the bag, and I'm going to do my best impression of one. They just walk up and just start swinging at the thing, and they hurt themselves. They tweak their elbows, they mess up their shoulders, they bruise their knuckles, they mess their wrists up, and I really want to be diligent upon throwing correct, proper punches at the bag to protect myself so I can continue training. Because if I injure myself, then I'm no longer able to train, whether you're preparing for a fight or try to get into better shape, okay? So I like to think of, this is my target, and I don't want to just reach the leather. They say punch into the target or punch through the target. Yeah, that's definitely true. I want to get the weight of my body and the glove of my punch deep into the target, but I also don't want to push, and I don't want to drift past the target, okay? If I drift past and push through, I'm going to end up in a bad position, and you notice the bag kind of swings, okay? I want to avoid the swinging of the bag. If you're hitting the bag properly, it's going to kind of get a little bounce to it. That means you're putting your snap to the punch, and the snap is really what knocks people out. And a couple ways I'm going to make sure the bag doesn't swing is I'm gonna hit it when it comes to me. If I hit it when it moves away, it starts swinging more, okay? There may be some time when I try to use the swing to take an angle or do something, but generally I want that bag to be bouncing. It means I'm throwing my good snap on there. And what I'm gonna do is I imagine a target a couple inches into the bag, and I bounce my power, my hips, my legs, my fist from that spot. It's getting more of a wobble, still a little bit of a swing, but you know, that's one way to check, make sure you're punching properly. The other thing, placement, turning over the punches. If I don't turn my punch over, I have a better chance of hyperextending my elbow, okay? I might land the improper part of my knuckle, the small knuckle, I might tweak my wrist, I might punch with my thumb. You know, and being a beginner once, I've gone through all these injuries. They're no fun, they keep you from training. So the more proper you can do it, the better, more fun, and more of a workout you'll be able to get without having to take time off due to injuries, okay? So we're gonna give just a little basic workout on the bag. I'm gonna treat it like an opponent. I'm gonna work a few minutes on here just to show you what a bag workout could possibly look like. And there's also many variations we can do. All right, aside from making me tired, you gave me a good workout. I'm working my punches, I'm moving with the bag, I'm adjusting my position, and I'm trying my best to keep my technique sharp. All right, now when I'm throwing my punches on the bag, you know, obviously I wrap my hands properly, I tape them up, I'm wearing proper gloves. You know, either some small bag gloves if you've been doing it for a while, or some bigger ones to offer more protection. I want to know that I'm delivering my punches on the bag properly. And the kind of thing I'm looking for is my punch contact is making perpendicular to the spot in the bag. You know, so if I'm throwing the jab's coming straight off, straight down. You know, I'm imagining this part is flat, so I'm coming straight into it. If I throw the hook, my contact is still straight into the bag. You know, my elbow's up, I got my knuckles lined up on the target. I don't want to drift past. I don't want to slide off the bag, okay? That's when injuries can happen. It kind of means I'm not punching properly or I'm not placing my punches properly, okay? The way I'm looking to place my punch is I'm imagining in my head that I'm turning over my punch right on the bag. Like almost I'm gonna try to tear the leather of the bag up with my glove. And what that does, that puts snap to my punch and gives me timing and kind of placement to my punches. Placement sometimes is more important than how hard you throw and how quick you are. If I have good timing, good placement on my punches, then I can be more accurate, I can create the openings, and I can expose the openings and take advantage of them for my opponent. So I wanna be perpendicular when I land, straight in, or from the side on hooking punches. Same thing on body shots, I wanna drop down, make sure I make contact straight in, there should be no drifting. And on straight punches, I'm basically recoiling back to my start position. So watch my hands. See how I just kind of end up right back here? Turning them over is a big key to that. If I don't turn it over, it gets back a lot slower, okay? On hooking punches, sometimes you see people drag it through and bring it in. This isn't a really good position to be because I'm not protecting anything and I can't punch from here. So a better thing would be to bounce my hook off the bag, bring it back to my chin. I get back quicker and there's also gonna be more power on that punch. It's more precise, it's better placed. Uppercuts, you know, on a bag, that whole perpendicular thing is kind of hard to do because generally you think you're coming up with an uppercut. What some people do, they might place an uppercut in an imaginary spot off of the bag and follow through on the next punch, which some people do. Another thing you can do is put the uppercut into the bag. So I turn it under and just kind of dig it in, more inward, so I'm still basically following that perpendicular rule, the punch is going in. Or I could stop the punch imaginary and come with the next one. So uppercuts are a little tougher, but we have an uppercut bag for that. We might get to that later. If you look at the bag, it's 4-dimensional. I can move forwards, backwards, up, down. I can hit it high, I can hit it low. I can go around to one side, I can come back on the other side. I'm gonna make sure I'm lined up. Just like in the ring, when I'm fighting somebody, very rarely are they just gonna stand there and let me hit them. So I'm gonna have to make movement, make adjustments on that. I wanna get used to knowing what I have to do to find a body shot, or using a body shot to set up a head shot. And I can practice, I like to call them traps, setting traps. I can practice setting traps in the bag. The more I practice here, the easier it becomes in there when I'm against an opponent. Combinations. I'm not just hitting the bag, pot shotting it one for one. When I throw a combo, my punches go together. The accuracy of my punches lead into the next punch. The precision kind of works, my body's working for itself, not against itself. And there's like a tempo to the punches. If you see, I'll throw just a basic 1, 2, 3, 2. And if you look, there's no extra movement. One punch is done, the next one's coming. Okay? When I'm done, I'm right back in position. Incorrect version of that, just so you can see the difference, might be. Now that was 4 punches, but it wasn't a combination. Think of a combination as a singular thing. They flow together. The combination again flows together, okay? That's when I'm using alternating hands, left, right, right, left. There's that tempo. I can change the tempo by doubling up on a punch. And the reason I might double up on a punch would be to get through somebody's defense, to get past their guard, to throw them off, or maybe do something different. So now I'm gonna throw a 1, 2, 2, 3. I'm doubling up on the right hand. The tempo is gonna be a little different. Okay, you hear that break in the tempo? Think of that like 2 combos, a 1, 2 and a 2, 3 with some movement in between. Maybe I could put some head movement to it. I'm gonna double up on a hook, same idea. I'm trying to get past my opponent's defense, okay? And this is the place to practice. You know, I did it shadow boxing, I managed it in my head, I went through the motions, I checked my technique in the mirror, it's feeling pretty good. Now I'm gonna apply it to this bag and really put effort into it. I'm gonna try to get my power out of it, I'm gonna try to get my speed out of it, and I'm gonna get a workout, but I'm also sharpening up my technique. Basically, if you can come up with it, there's that many different combinations you can throw in the bag. And it's always a good idea to start off on the basics. A lot of times, you know, even myself, I've been doing this a long time, I might do a round or two just jabs or just lead hand work to make sure the timing feels right. Kind of when you get to the point when you train and you learn, when you do it right, it feels right. So I don't have to think, am I dropping my hand? Is my punch turning over? Am I turning my hips? It kind of gets too many things to think about. By doing it over and over again and practicing on the bag, I get used to the way it feels. Now I don't have to think as much. I can tell, you know, ooh, I pushed the bag, it didn't feel right. You know, then the next punch I'll throw might have that snap on it, that feels better. You know, there's that whop sound when you turn over the punch on the bag properly, and it's kind of a rewarding sound as opposed to a dull thud when you're not placing the punch properly. So I might do around just jabs for a while, and I'm gonna mix my jab up. I'm gonna jab, I might jab to the body, I might double jab, I can mix my jabs up, I can triple up the jab, I can box, dance work, my footwork while I'm popping my jabs, I can parry another jab, come back with mine. So even when it's simple as just a jab, it's still a really versatile tool, okay? If I'm a beginner, you definitely can't practice the basics too much. I might do a round or a portion of a round where I'm working on a 1, 2, that only. So basically you're thinking of your jab is to establish your distance and your timing. Once I can land my jab, I can land every punch that I have in my arsenal. All right, so we'll start off with some 1, 2s. I'm always moving. I'm thinking of the bag as an opponent. I'm not just gonna stand here and hit it, okay? I'm gonna make adjustments, I'm gonna move, and I'm still gonna check my technique, make sure I get back to position. Next would be a 1, 2, 3. Another basic combo. Why I think it's a good combo? Because the 1, 2, 3 finishes with your lead hand, and what that does, it's an easy way to put yourself back into the right position. Look here, I'm already back in my stance. finishing with that punch. You see a lot of people throw the 1-2. Now I'm out of position. I finished the punch, but not fully. Fully would be back here. If I'm not thinking that sharply ahead, or I'm a beginner and I want to get back into position, just the notion of finishing with the lead hand puts me back where I want to be. It could be a jab as well. Okay? So I get used to throwing my 1-2-3. Maybe I start placing the 3 in different places. I might use my 1-2 to set me up in position to throw a hook to the body. Okay? It doesn't always have to be to the head. But like I said before, there's going to be a distinction between a head shot and a body shot. Okay? We're going to use a 1-2-3 to set up a hook to the body. All right? And I'm going to explain the good technique of getting that hook to the body, placed in the right position in the right way, having the max amount of power. My 1-2-3, I'm basically throwing that to distract my opponent. Maybe even to get their hands up, or to put them on the defensive, or to freeze them up. You know, maybe even I rock them a little bit. Doesn't matter, because I threw that with the full intention knowing I was going to drop my left hook to the body. So after my 1-2-3, I'm going to pivot off my back foot like I'm throwing a right hand. I'm going to drop levels and slip outside to find my opening. Here's the move in slow motion. So I got my glove between me and my target, because that's where the punches are coming from. I still have my foot relatively lined up on the bag, and I have my weight loaded up on the front leg. Okay? From here, I'm going to pivot back to position with all the power of rotation for power to that left hook to the body. And that puts me right back in position. It's kind of a bad habit. It's something you can get away with, but I think it's possible you can work it better. You see a lot of people that come in and throw their body shots really short with just their arm. Okay? I can still hurt somebody like that, but granted, if I use my body fully and pivot and keep my legs bent and twist my body back, it's definitely going to be a lot harder of a punch. Okay? So now, I got some of the basic punches. I can even throw some defense in with my offense and just kind of repeat a certain combination over and over and over in the bag. I might have an opponent that I know throws a lot of right hand hooks. So in my mind, I might throw a 1-2, I might block their right hand, left hook, and I'll come back with my own left hook, right hand. Okay, so I'm using something that I saw from my opponent. I'm going to try to use it against them, and here's where I get my practice done. Here's where I make it feel right, and that's the important part. So we'll throw that a few times in a row just so you can see how it looks. Okay? I can change the speed of my blocks. I can say that, I kind of didn't get myself out far enough. I didn't pivot back far enough to make my hook powerful. Now, the next time I throw it, I can try to make improvements on it. I'm always looking to make improvements. Boxing's a science, but it's not an exact science. So there's always a lot of work to be made. Right back to position. I have blocks. I can do slips. Kind of the same thing. 1-2. I might slip out. I might slip in. That gives me the same combination back of 3-2. All right? Here it looks. And the whole time you notice while I'm moving my head, my focus is right on my opponent, which is the bag for now. You get more complex with the punches on the bag, my combinations. I could, like I said before, I brought the hands up to set up the body shot. Now I'm going to use that body shot to bring the hands down to set up the head. So we're going to do the same 1-2-3 up high, slip outside, dig the body, come back outside, 3-2-3 to the head. The more punches you throw, the more chances you have of landing, and the more challenge you're putting on your opponent's defense. Anybody can block the first punch you throw. It's when you start throwing more punches in the correct fashion you really get your openings in. Okay? Let's put that combination together. Put your head movement right back in. Can use it as a conditioning tool. I might have worked my technique for the first hour, first 30 minutes of my workout. I only have a little more time left. I'm like, all right, now I'm just going to throw some continuous punches. It's a drill I like to do a lot, where I really keep my technique, but I don't stop punching. And as you'll see, I'll be getting tired because I'm doing a lot of work. Continuous punches, I'm starting off with straight shots, Make sure my technique is good. My chin's down. My elbows come back into my sides. My fists come back to my chin. If you look at my feet and my hips and my body, they're working into my punches, not against my punches. All right? Once I feel like my technique's good, I can put more into it. And that's gonna make you tired. Another good thing about a heavy bag is it's not just for hitting. You can also set up scenarios, a bag drill for yourself or somebody. If you're preparing for a certain type of opponent or you're trying to work a new combination, you can repeat that series or that combination or scenario over again until you feel comfortable with it. Some bag drill right now I'd like to do, we'll show you what to do if you have an opponent that's a mover, somebody that just doesn't stand there and let you hit them. Imagine that. So you have to find ways to get close to them, to cut off the ring or to get into punching range. Maybe there's somebody that's taller than you and have longer arms, longer reach. You got to work past that reach. So I'm going to show you several ways to get closer to your opponent to put you in range where you can land your own punches. Okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to step with punches to get in range to land punches. And the first combination for that is going to be a 1-1-2. My first jab has no intention of landing. Its only goal is to get me close enough to the bag where I can land my next combination or my next punch. And if you're looking at my hands and my feet, I still have the right timing and the right punches even though the punch doesn't land, okay? Here goes slow motion, 1-1-2. The first jab is just to get me close enough. If you look, I'm out of range. I can't reach the bag, so I need to approach. Okay, that brought me into range. We'll do it again. If you're looking at my front foot, it's landing the same time as that missing jab. Right into range. Now the thing I don't want to do is step, reach with my jab. Now I'm leaning in, I'm ahead of my feet, I'm off balance. So I want to work just a nice, easy transition to get into the bag. Okay? It's a way maybe to get a little closer to somebody that's tall instead of just walking through their punches or taking a beating to get in. Okay? A twist on that same combination, it would be use a jab to get in. We're going to mix it up with a hook right hand or a 3-2 instead. Same jab to get close. And that jab brought me in range to land my 3-2. Here it goes again. Okay? If I'm in range on a heavy bag, if I'm standing here throwing punches, then in reality, I'm also in range to be hit by my opponent. So I want to treat this like an opponent. So I want to be inside, I want to be outside of range. I need to approach to get in. I need to get back out. I need to move my head. I need to block. Even though there's not punches coming at me, I need to make myself do that so it becomes easier in the ring. Okay? Another way to close a gap on somebody would be to make them punch first. Okay? So I'm going to use a defensive move to get a little closer. All right? Say I got a taller opponent with a good jab. And every time I just walk in, boom, I get hit with the jab. Well, I'm going to use that against them, and I'm going to walk up. I'm expecting a jab. 9 times out of 10, that's the first punch that's coming. So I'm going to parry the jab, and I know because I use my eyes and I use my reach and I see that I have about 4 inches to step until I'm in range to land a punch. So I'm using his punch against him to close that final gap to make sure I get into range. So, and you got to use your imagination here, but it's the best way to do it till you get in the ring in front of somebody. But I'm going to parry the jab, throw my jab, come back with a right hand. So that instant where he jabs, he's stuck right in front of me, okay? And if I use that to exploit his position, I can make up that ground and get in to land my punches. So parry, 1-2, back out so I can repeat. But again, if I'm a shorter guy trying to get in to fight a taller guy, this might be all I need to get in and really be able to go to work, okay? Another combination using the same concept. Maybe I'm fighting a guy that's not really committing to his punches, just putting him out there softly. I'm going to eat one of his punches to come hard with my own punch. Maybe I'm fighting a southpaw who's using that jab to keep me occupied. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat that punch, smother it, and come hard with the right hand, and I'm going to close the gap on their jab. So in my mind, when they jab, I step in, I'm blocking, I'm pretty safe here, and I'm using that to set up power, okay? So it's either against a southpaw or somebody that's not really committing to their punches if it's a right-handed person. And here it goes. All right? And you can see that block helps set up power in my right hand, and it brings me in range to land a punch on somebody that I normally couldn't get in on. Here it comes again. Okay? I can add punches to that. I can get in with the block and keep throwing combinations. Another way to get in would be, again, if you got somebody moving, maybe they move their head good, maybe they move their feet good, find the body first. If you can find the body, it's going to make it a little easier to zero in on the head. Maybe you even hit them low in the body, their hands drop down, you create that opening. Maybe you freeze them up for a moment, allows you to get close. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw a jab to the body to try to find it. I'm going to use that in my head knowing that I was able to get that punch in, and I'm going to come back with a jab to the body, overhand right. So my goal is to get their hands down with my jab to the body to make them react defensively, and I'm going to exploit that opening with the overhand right. Okay? So here comes the jab to the body. Ooh, I just saw their hands drop. Okay, I'm going to use that to get in with my overhand right. I like to call that setting a trap. You know, I put something out there, I saw a reaction, now I'm going to use that reaction against my opponent, okay? Okay, another way of making my opponent punch first and using that to get to him, you know, could be considered a counter punch, or it could be just considered a way to get close enough to my opponent where I can start punching. It doesn't necessarily have to be parry or jab. I can kind of sit and block whatever they're going to throw, whether it's a jab, a right hand, or a hook. I can be in position, and from there, I can basically come with any punch because I'm sitting down, I'm in my stance. What I like to throw, and it just seems more natural for me, is to come off of that with a hook. All right, so I got a lanky guy that likes to move. I got to try to get in. I'm expecting them to punch. When I get close enough, they're going to feel threatened. There's a punch coming at me, so I want to use that against them. I work my way in. I sit. Here's my defense, and I come out with a punch. All right, in a real situation, I'd probably come in with that hook and then go to work with more punches, but just to get the idea of how it works, we're going to repeat it again with just that hook. Work my way in, make them punch, and come in behind that hook. All right, that's a way to close the gap. While they stop to punch me, that created the opening I needed to be able to get in and land the rest of my punches. Okay, I got my my opponent here standing in front of me. His feet are set, he's in the right position, he's looking to hit on me, hands are up, I'm looking right at him. Now, in order to get to him, I have to get past his punches, his guard. And one of the best ways to do that is to take an angle, which means I'm going to take a small adjustment to either side where I'm not attacking my opponent straight through their offense, okay? So right now, this is my offense. If someone's walking straight to me, they got to get through this. I want to move where somebody's coming in on the outside of my offense or on the inside of my offense. And there, it's a little safer to open up, maybe throw some harder punches, get a little more aggressive, because my opponent then is not in a great position to take advantage of my position, okay? And we're going to run through some different ways. There's more than one way to take an angle, but we're going to run through some different ways of setting up different angles, both directions with different punches, hooks and right hands, okay? The first one, we're going to start off. First thing I want to do is I want to give my opponent something. I want to freeze them up. I want to make them defensive. If I just walk up to somebody and turn, then they're just going to turn with me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to really gain an advantage in position. So I need to freeze them up. Maybe I even hurt them, or maybe I blind them with their own gloves. Now I can have that small window to take a small angle and get a clean line punches where I'm not going through their guard. All right? So I approach the bag with a 1-2. I want to get off to my left, which will be my outside. And if I'm going to my left leg moves first. I'm stepping towards the bag, and I'm going to line up, realign myself. So my first move is to advance to the angle, and my second move is to line up on position on the bag. Boom. If you look, my front foot is directly between my back foot and the bag. So now I'm lined up on my target, and my bag is still lined up over here. So I have my opening, 2, 3, 2. I'm using this angle right now to set up a cross or a right hand for the orthodox fighter. and I'm thinking ahead. I already know that that's the punch I want to throw even before I move. So it's kind of planned, and I'm going to make sure I get in that position, all right? Here it looks full speed, and then I'll kind of explain how it gets there. Okay? Still lined up on the bag. Now, I step towards the bag. I throw the 1-2. I step towards the bag with my lead foot. As I line up, I'm going to take my right shoulder back with my foot pivot, okay? So my front foot is the axis point. I pivot on it. Look where I'm at. I'm perfectly set up to throw the cross, okay? Now, I may need to throw a different punch on a particular opponent, but right now we're looking to set up the right hand. So 1-2, freeze my opponent, take the angle, line up, boom, I got some clean punches in, okay? I'm gonna use that same combo, but this time I'm gonna set up the angle to the outside, or to my inside, to the opponent's outside. I'm gonna use the 1-2 to set it up. Now, my weight is on my front leg, so I'm gonna use that weight advantage here to drive myself and push myself over to the side. And I wanna think of it like I'm gonna meet my hand and my chin in the place where I wanna be, not where I'm at, okay? So I throw the 1-2, boom, boom, drive off my front leg, across to the side, same combination, 2-3-2, all right? It's got timing to it. As soon as my punch lands, I want to be gone. I don't want to stay there. I want my opponent to not know where I'm going to be. All right, 1-2, angle to the inside, 2-3-2. Okay? Doesn't always have to be a big giant angle. Sometimes just a little bit to get outside of the guard is all you need. All right? This particular one, I throw the punch when my front foot lines me up on the bag. So I push off my back leg. I'm not just reaching. I'm actually driving my weight off my front leg. Now I'm lined up. As soon as my front foot lines up, I'm in a perfect position to throw that combination. Okay? Now we went outside and inside with setting up a 2 or a cross. We're going to take the same directions. We're going to set up a hook. So there's more than one way to do it. These are the ways I like to. And so I'm thinking ahead. Now I want to land the hook on my opponent. So I'm going to freeze them up again, just like I want. A nice, relaxed, quick combo. 1, 2, 3. Again, if I'm going to my left leg leads first. I'm going to keep my left shoulder open because that's the punch that I want to come in with first. My right hand's up. I'm going to pivot back into position using my front foot as my axis point. And see how I get my hook to come off as my back leg comes around. Nice and slow. Hook, cross, hook, all right? Full speed, non-stop. And if you look, I'm in a perfect position on my opponent, okay? The timing I'm looking for here is to have my hook land when my back foot lines up into position, all right? If I land the hook first, I don't have a stable ground, a stable base. I'm not going to have as much power on that punch, and I'm going to be a little bit out of my stance, a little bit off balance. So I want to make sure that I time that left hook with my right foot landing on the ground. Right on the bag where I'm supposed to be. Okay. Moving to my inside, opponent's outside. There's 2 ways I like to do this. One of them, I can kind of keep gaining a position with it. I can keep using it to get all the way around my opponent if I need to. And the other one's a little quicker, shorter, maybe sets up a little more power right off the bat, all right? First way, I'm going to start with a 1, 2, 3. Going to the right, I need to move my right leg first. I'm going to defend myself between the bag as I step. I'm using a block here. I'm not leaving any openings. Now I have to bring myself back to my stance and line up on the bag. I'm going to bring myself to my stance with my left hook, okay? So 1, 2, 3, step out with the block. Here comes the hook. And I'm going to carry it across a couple times. And finish with the right hand, okay? Here we go. I'll start from over here. You get a different angle. All right, I can work my way all around the bag like that if I get it completely frozen. All right? The key to this one is left hand, left foot land together as I line myself up on the bag. All right, I don't want to punch in a squared up position. From here, I'm out of balance and I'm losing my power and I can get knocked down with a jab. All right, slow down, look at the feet, pivot to the outside, defend myself in my vulnerable position, tying my hand in my step. A couple more times. Okay? The other way I talked about is a little quicker to gain one position, and I can come with good power off of it. I change levels on it so it's harder for my opponent to find me, and it sets up a good body shot or uppercut, and I can finish with whatever I want to. This one's a little trickier. I'm gonna start with a 1, 2, 3, freezing my opponent up. Again, I wanna lead to the right with my right foot. From here, without jumping, I'm gonna scoot. All right? This scoot's gonna do three things. It's gonna carry me to the full angle I want. It's gonna line me up on the bag, and it's gonna set the punch that I wanna throw, okay? So a lot to do with one thing, but it works pretty good. 1, 2, 3. Now you see where I'm at. My front foot's right at the bag. I'm defending myself from where my opponent's punches are, and I have the punch I wanna throw is set. From here, I can go body, head, I can throw uppercut to the chin, come over with a hook. It gives me a few options. See if you can focus on the footwork with the step, scoot. 1, 2, 3, step, scoot. Right there. An effective punch, effective combination, angles. You got somebody on the rope, you got somebody hurt. Maybe they have a good defense. If you get a little angle on it, you can get a clean punch without having to punch through their guard. All right, I have my opponent, and they're just not letting me hit them. You know, their defense is pretty good, their position is good. So what I have to do is I have to create openings on them. You know, and anybody, if I just throw one punch, anybody can block one punch. You know, even if I throw two, I'm giving them a chance to be defensive. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw combinations, and I'm gonna vary my punches, I'm gonna mix up my punches to keep my opponent guessing. You know, I don't wanna show them exactly what I'm gonna do because they're gonna be ready for it. So I need to hide certain things, or I need to move their hands, and I need to use certain techniques to create the specific opening that I'm trying to gain, all right? A basic one is just working high-low, combining body shots with head shots, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it up high. This is the reaction I'm looking for. I'm dropping down hard, big turn to the body. I'm punching straight out, I'm not punching down. And now from here, as I drop down, hopefully my opponent's hands drop down, okay? Now from here, I'm gonna bring my punch up and catch them in an unguarded chin right on their face where they're not expecting it. Bring it back up. Now, if I do everything from this position, I'm not getting the reaction out of my opponents that I want. You know, they're not seeing me move and I'm not getting their reaction. So I need to show high, I need to drop low, I need to pick my punch up. Now, I'm playing the high-low game, using my opponent's guard against them, trying to create the openings that I want, okay? Maybe I have somebody that has just the basic hands-up defense. Maybe they try to move and roll with my punches as they're blocking. I got an answer for that too. I'm gonna double up on some punches, okay? You see somebody doing this, they're naturally programmed to be blocking the left hand, the right hand, the left hand, the right hand. I'm not talking about my right and left, I'm talking about my opponent's throwing it. You know, if a hook comes, I'm naturally expecting a right hand to come. Then I'm expecting another hook and another right hand. So you can use that expectations against them and create the openings. So what I'm gonna do here, there's two ways I'm gonna show you to do it. One of them is I'm gonna double up on the right hand to set up the next punch. And the other way is I'm gonna double up on the hook to set up the next punch, okay? And what's happening, what I'm looking for here is I'm throwing a jab, they're blocking it. They're gonna block the right hand, and in their mind, I'm throwing a hook. So when they switch over to throw the hook, I'm hitting them with another right hand, right there where that opening is, okay? And then I'm gonna finish off with my hook, just to make sure that they're down, all right? So 1, 2, 2, 3. I don't wanna load up, I don't wanna try to put a lot of power on it. You know, just use the proper technique is all I need, and keep the proper tempo and the timing of the punches. 1, 2, 2, 3. Okay? Sometimes that's all I need to break through that wall of defense that they're using. Okay? The other one is gonna be the 1, 2, 3, 3, 2. As they block my first hook, they're expecting the right hand. They switch over, boom, I hit them with the hook, and then I'm gonna finish them off with another right hand, all right? And the punch you're tricking them with doesn't necessarily have to be the hard one that you're trying to hurt them with. It can always be the next few punches that do the real damage. But just setting them off timing and creating that opening is what I need. So I'm using these tricks to create that opening. Once I have that opening, then I can really take advantage of it. Here comes that 1, 2, 3, 3, 2. Okay? The trick to this is I'm using my front foot to stutter step. I don't want to load up and throw hard hooks because it's too easy to see. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 3, they can see by the way my body's moving that I'm getting ready to throw another hook. All right? If I kind of stutter step it, make it quick, it's more unexpected to them, and it gives me a better shot at creating that opening that I want. Here it comes again. Okay? More about creating openings, okay? There's only so much I can defend in one time. You know, being in my proper stance, I can parry the jab, I can block here, I can slip, I can roll, I can defend body shots. And no matter how good you are, there's always going to be some kind of opening to exploit, all right? And another good way to do that is to change something. You know, if you always led with a jab for the first couple rounds, next time lead with the right hand, just by giving something different might throw your opponent off enough to get that opening that we're looking for. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to throw 1, 2, get the hands up, and instead of throwing one body shot coming to the head, we're going to go body, body, all right? Really get their hands down. Maybe I can even catch them with that hook to the body, hit them in the liver, and put them down with it. But I'm not done there. I'm going to come back up to the head just to give myself more chances of landing those clean punches, all right? 1, 2, slip. All right? The reason I want to move my head, maybe they're countering, I'm getting away from their punch. I'm also finding that good angle to hit them right behind the elbow, and I'm moving myself over to find the position behind their other elbow. So I'm not going, I'm putting those punches together using my movement. Also, the counter to a body shot is right up the middle. So if I stay there when I throw that punch, I'm giving them that counter. So if I move my position as I punch, I make it a little bit harder for them to counter my body shots off. All right, 1, 2, slip. Bring it back up to the head, body, head. More bag drills. All right, maybe maybe I'm the guy in the gym that hits really hard, but I get hit a lot. So my focus might be putting my good offense together with some good defense. And I might come up with a certain combination that fits that scenario. You know, whether it's blocking, slipping, rolling, head movement, whatever it is, I can pick a combination and drill it over and over and over again until it comes second nature. And that's when you really become good, when you don't have to think so much of what's going on in the ring. It just kind of happens by reaction. And the best way to achieve that is through repetition. And on the heavy bag, there's a lot of repetition that can go on. It's pretty durable, it's built to last, okay? So first combination I'm going to do, I need to be more defensive. My coaches talked to me, I recognize that I got tired of getting hit. So I'm going to put together a few combinations that have some defense involved. First one I'm going to do is some regular basic blocking. I'm going to throw a 1, 2 from this position. A common counter to my right hand is another right hand coming right back at me. So I'm going to block that right hand, block the hook that's coming next, and set up my own 3-2. Okay? A good defense protects you. A great defense sets up offense. So it's not good enough to just not get hit. I want to use that to come back at my opponent. All right? I'm going to do it a couple times so you can see, and then I'm going to explain through it. All right? 1, 2, block, block, 3, 2. Okay? I'm putting the same sharpness to my defense that I also put into my offense. If you notice, some people will go hard, block slowly sweeping through, and then counter. My opponent doesn't throw soft sweeping punches, they throw sharp hard punches. So I need my defense to be up to that, okay? The other thing I'm looking for, my eyes never leave my opponent. No matter what head movement, what block I'm doing, I throw, I block. If you look, my eyes don't leave. Now I can see what my opponent's doing, and I can also be more sharp and more accurate with my offense coming back, okay? The other subtle things that I'm doing is as I'm blocking, I'm transferring my weight. By transferring my weight, I'm setting up power for the next punch, okay? Another subtle thing I'm doing when I'm blocking is I'm dropping my center of gravity down, all right? By doing this, I become more stable. I can rely on the power of my legs a little bit more. I'm not gonna get knocked off balance. I'm not gonna get twisted away by blocking a punch. I can hold my ground, so therefore I'm in a better position to come back with my counter or my offense, all right? So watch it again and check out for the transfer of weight and me focusing on my opponent. Last thing I do is I make sure I get right back to position. I always want to finish where I start. From here, I can do everything. You see a lot of people finish on the bag. From here, I only have a few options, okay? So you want to get back to position, all right? That was offense and defense with blocking. Now I'm going to do some offense and defense with slipping, okay? The same basic combination. I'm throwing a 1-2. I'm expecting a 2-1 or a 2-3 coming back at me, all right? So I'm going to throw my 1-2. I'm going to slip. I'm going to come back to position, and I'm going to get my head moving to set up some punches. So we'll go 1-2, slip, slip. Now if you notice, I'm getting away from punches by my head movement, and I'm going to use that to set up my counter punches. 1-2, slip, slip, 3-2-3, okay? Basically what I'm really doing is I'm throwing my 1-2, I'm getting back to position. Here comes the right hand, I'm slipping outside of it, transferring my weight, setting up my own hook, all right? So 1-2, I'm getting back to position, I'm slipping out, coming back with my counter. And even though I'm moving my head, if you watch, my eyes don't turn, okay? You see a lot of people move their head like this. A, I can't really see what's going on, and B, I'm giving you this big target. If I leave my head there, at least offer a little protection by my shoulder. And some people are really good at defending punches with their shoulders. These are, I've been told that they're like extra hands for defense, okay? Another way to put it together, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some rolls. Another type of head movement. Instead of slipping, we're gonna roll. 1, 2, 3. All right? The counter to my hook right now is gonna be another right hand. So I land my 3, the right hand's coming, I drop underneath. Here comes the hook, I'm coming back. That 2-3-2 is my counter punch, all right? Regular time, regular speed. Okay? Staying lined up on the bag, putting my punches together when I have a chance, all right? Maybe the need I have with defense is just remembering to move my head. All right, so what I'm gonna do, my drill might be move my head on the bag, and just whenever I feel like it or whenever my coach says go, I'll throw punches from wherever I'm at. Go. 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 All right, that head movement, that defense turns into offense readily off a head movement. I'm always in position to come back with another punch. So it's another bag drill you can use to better yourself. Another bag drill that I like to do, a lot of people sometimes don't realize what good things they do or what effect their punches have. And you know, you work so hard to get in there, throw the right punches, the right combinations, and I might land a punch that knocks my opponent off balance or has them hurt or they're backing away from me, they're on their retreat. So I want it to become instinct to go finish them off. And the way that I like to do it is to throw the regular combination that I'm looking for, get back to position as quick as I can, because that's my goal. From my basic position, I can do everything. So I'm gonna throw my combination, get back to position. My eyes are open, I'm alert, I'm recognizing that my opponent's hurt, off balance, or out of position, and I'm gonna come in for the kill. The way I do that is with a 1-1-2. The reason I like that, my double jab can create space, it can gain space, it can set up the timing, and it keeps my opponent defensive. And then it puts me in a perfect position to be able to throw the hard right hand. You know, I can always add more punches to it, but that 1-1-2 does a lot. It keeps them defensive. If I keep my opponent defensive, I have less of a worry to coming into getting hit with their punch, okay? So basic combo, I'll throw 1, 2, 3, just nice and relaxed. That's how what boxing is. But I'm gonna recognize that my 3 did some damage, and I'm gonna come in for the kill, all right? All right, there's a little pause there because I got to get back to position and I got to recognize what happens. The 1, 2, 3 is nice and relaxed. What I want to do is change my speed, change my intensity, change my power, and come hard with that 1, 1, 2, because there's a small window of opening while my opponent's hurt or out of position or off balance, okay? Another one, here we go again, same thing. All right? Maybe my opponent's hurt, they're trying to come in and grab onto me. So I'll throw my 1, 2, 3, and they try to rush in to hold on. I'm using that double jab to create space. All right, so 1, 2, 3, create space, boom, there's my right hand. Maybe they're the kind of person that get hit, they try to run. All right, so what I'll do is I get the bag moving, 1, 2, 3, they're running. I'll knock them out with that shot. I use my double jab to put me in the perfect position to land the cross, whether it's forwards or backwards. Okay, it might be sideways too. All right, now there's always certain combos I like to throw. There's always things that I do best. So I'll start incorporating that 1, 1, 2 with other things, all right? My favorite combo that I like to throw is getting the high-low game going, throwing hooks to the body and to the head. I'm gonna finish with that 1, 1, 2 to get my aggressive instinct going. All right, so now I'm thinking beyond what's obvious. I'm thinking past 1 or 2 punches. I'm thinking in full combinations. I'm programming my body to put certain series together, and the more punches I throw, the more chances I have of landing something. And by also putting defense together with my offense, I don't get hit and I protect myself, and by making my opponent miss, it creates more openings for them.